Good morning, all. The COVID-19 Response Committee meeting on the 2nd of April 2020. And welcome councillors, members of the media, staff, who I know you're all at home today. So we are all at home locking down as we should do. So we're all coming in using our Wi-Fi's, etc. So here we are. And can I call for apologies, please? I think we're all here, so there's no apologies. Extraordinary business? I know of none. Any extraordinary business? No. Declarations of interest? Any declarations? No. Let's move on to the order of business, and we have reports here. And the first one is the Ashburton Domain Development Plan consultation, item number 4. And we do have Tony Durham here. Tony, did you want to come on and add anything to the report that you've given us, please?
Good morning, all. Look, I'll take the information as read, but happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Councillors, any questions of Tony? It's looking at extending the consultation period because of the lockdown we're in. Stuart, question?
Yes, my question is, once we move out of level 4, I think it should be once we move down to level 1, because if level 3 is still pretty restrictive, and I think it's not urgent to have that consultation done, and people won't be able to consult if you're over 70 in level 3, even level 2. So I think it should be level 1 or no level at all.
Councillor Cameron.
I support that. I think a lot of people, especially with the domain plan consultation, are over 70 and they want to be seen, and I think we should reduce it down to level 1, which on the definition set by the government was groups of 500 or more, or no level at all.
Councillor Rawlinson.
Totally agree with what the other two said, and I think with giving the CE the discretion as to when we reopen it is an excellent idea.
John?
I certainly agree with that, but as number 2 there, I just wonder whether it should be the CEO and the Mayor as being our elected representative making that decision.
I'm certain that the CEO would consult with the Mayor on making that decision, as he does with other decisions as well. So, would someone like to move an amendment to that recommendation, or have a new recommendation that changes to a different level? Angus.
I'll second Councillor Falloon's motion.
And Councillor Falloon's motion was?
Oh, sorry, amendment that the Mayor be added just before the Chief Executive delegates to the Mayor and Chief Executive.
So it's adding to that recommendation. Is there any other changes to that recommendation about the level 4? What I'm hearing. Councillor Wilson?
Yes, I think we've got the cart before the horse. We can't have an amendment until we actually have a motion.
Correct.
And the motion, I'd like to... Can I move the motion that number 1 goes through to consultation, given the COVID-19 pandemic is down to level associated alert level 1.
Mm-hmm.
And the same would be the part of the second part as well. Once the district moves out of level 4 lockdown to level 1.
Yeah, and did you want to add in there, Angus just talked about with the delegates to the Chief Executive and in discussion with the Mayor, or leave it out?
Well, if I put it in, it doesn't mean we need an amendment then.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hamish?
Could I suggest that you don't need to alter the first reference to level 4, because that is simply the context for the extension, i.e. we're in level 4 now. And if we amended in number 2 to add the mayor and that we're waiting until we get to level 1 in terms of making the decision, I think that might give effect to the sentiment in both cases.
Yeah, I think that sums it up nicely. Councillor Cameron?
I was just going to second Stuart's motion with those additional amendments that Hamish just alluded to.
Stuart, you're aware of all those amendments and you're happy with them? It's in the number 1 stays the same. Number 2, adding the mayor, and the last bit, level 4, becomes level 1.
Yes.
You'd have to lose the word.
Quite agreeable with that. That's fine. Yes.
You'd have to lose the word lockdown, because level 1's not a lockdown, I don't think.
No, it isn't.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we will just rephrase that last piece of it to make it clear that we would consider hearing the submissions or completing the process by you and I agreeing a time once we are back to alert level 1.
Councillor Rawlinson? Councillor Rawlinson, you want to speak? Your hand was up. You're not. You're out? Okay. The motions, Philippa, you've captured all that? Moved by, who moved it? It was moved by Stuart and seconded by Carolyn. Yep. And Philippa, you've got everything you need there, I assume. Good.
Yep. It's all good.
Good. I'll put the motion. I'm in favour. All in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Right.
Against? Carried. Thank you. Next item of business is number 5, speed limit review.
Can I just ask? I was just going to ask a question.
Yep.
I was just going to ask a question. When we do come back to this, are we going to relaunch it out there again for more submissions, or are we just going to carry on where we've left off on the domain?
I'll go to Tony, but I'm thinking we may refresh the advertising, but the submissions that have come in will still stand. Tony, would you just give us a wee update perhaps on what, how we would refresh it? Tony, if you push your space bar, you might be able to talk.
I am. It's not working.
Oh,
here we go. I am now. So thank you, through the chair. With regard to the domain development plan, what we'll do is we're simply leaving it open. So it is still up for consultation for the 3 weeks that we've already had, and we'll just leave it open. It may end up being open for 3 months. And what we'll do is we'll just keep generating interest in the domain development plan over the next however long we need to. Everyone who's submitted so far, their responses will be a part of the mix, and we'll communicate with them directly to let them know these changes so they aren't concerned about what's happening. It potentially could lead to us getting a greater level of interest and range of feedback, we hope.
Yeah, and I think it's the right thing to do in today's environment, to extend it out to so everyone gets to have their say on the quite important matter with the domain and what we want to do with it over the next 30 years. So I think that's really good. We've made a good decision there. So moving on to item number 5, which is a speed limit review consultation. Same issues really, and there's Tony's given the report that the council approves the pausing the speed limit review, and there's number 1 and number 2. You may want to change that to be consistent with what was there in the last recommendation. Angus.
When you're ready for a motion, I'll move 1 would stay the same and 2 would insert the mayor and chief executive. Yep.
And moving down to level 1.
Okay. Yep.
Yep. Consistent questions of Tony.
Yes, for consistency.
Yeah. Diane.
I was just going to second what Angus had moved.
Okay, Angus has now moved, Diane seconded, it's open for debate. Stuart?
Yes, we have moved the second. The first one's exactly the same. Engagement process pauses associated with alert level 4, but are we definitely going down to level 1 or no level at all? Because there'll be a lot of people, we've got a lot of submissions on this. I would rather it's not urgent, I don't think. I would rather leave it until the pandemic thing is that there's no level at all.
What's the difference between level 1 and no level for us during consultation? Hamish, you might be able to respond.
I'm not exactly clear of that sitting here. I'm sorry, councillors. I think the issue of no alert at all, I mean, we might have a level 1 alert for many, many months. And if we wait for it to be, what we're essentially asking is for the government to abandon the entire alert system. I mean, level 1 might become a permanent part of our society's functioning. We would need to be sure that we were perhaps clear on that point. I don't know if any of our current staff on the call can give better advice than I'm currently giving. I'm just not exactly sure whether you go from 1 to no level at all and what that would mean for timing.
Yeah, well, the staff are thinking about whether they can. Lane, can you come in? A question, Lane?
Yes, I have. Well, more suggestion. Why are we changing number 2 of the speed limits slightly different? Why don't we make them both the same? Then we know exactly what we're talking about. Now just leave it in number 1.
Roger?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Talking about level 1, it says border entry measures a minimum, contact tracing, stringent self-isolation still in process, physical distancing encouraged, mass gatherings over 500 people not permitted, stay at home if you're at risk. So that's level 1. So I think we probably need to postpone all these things until the whole COVID-19 alert levels are cancelled.
Mm-hmm.
We could be waiting some time, as Hamish mentions. We may be on level 1 for quite a few years even, at a very low level, depending on what happens. We'll go to Liz.
Thank you, and I agree. I think level 1 is safe enough. I mean, we had council meetings at a level 1, so I think level 1's safe enough for us to continue.
Yeah, John?
Yeah, I support Liz. I believe that level 1 is okay. As far as the self-isolation is concerned, that relates to people coming in from overseas, not to locals already in New Zealand. So to me, at level 1, basically we can do whatever we like.
Okay, thank you. Stuart?
Yes, could we have it that the Mayor and the Chief Executive consider whether we hold hearings and deliberations? Because if we're moving down quickly, level 1 might come quite quick, and if it's going to be for a long time, I'd like to see us consider when it gets to level 1 whether we go ahead or not.
Okay, that's good. Anyone further? Angus?
I'd be happy with that change.
Philippa's capturing that. If the mover and the seconder, Diane, I think you seconded. Happy with that? She's nodding she is. Lane?
Still got a question. So that means if we're getting to level 1, we're going to have the discussions. Is that correct?
Yes.
Through Mr. Mayor, could I just clarify that essentially what I'm I think councillors are doing with this amendment is we're changing the word specify to consider. It's as simple as that. And the level 4 to change as well down to level 1, so that we're considering it at level 1. We may well decide to proceed, and we may well decide not to, but we're considering it rather than specifying a date.
I think using the word consider is a better word. Yeah. Angus, you happy with the word consider?
Yes.
And Diane, happy?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any further debate? And I'll put the motion. There's no further debate. I'm in favour. All those in favour, please say aye.
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 Against? Carried. Thank you. Moving on to the next item of business, which is number 6, COVID-19 lockdown update. And we could each have a comment here if we wish, and we can hear from the senior leadership team as well as to the departments as to how they've been handling and what they've been doing. But I'll just make a couple of observations. I think the community's been doing very well in this lockdown. As a whole, they're obeying the restrictions that the government's put on us. The police are doing a good job on seeing that everyone is sticking to the regulations, which is good. There's obviously always a few people who flout the regulations and think they can get away with it, but as time moves on, they won't be. They will be. The police will be getting tougher and tougher. There's a lot of people out there doing a lot of work in the essential services, and we have one of them on view here now, Carolyn. All the work you're doing in the pharmacy, people appreciate all that. And you're one of thousands out there who are doing a lot of work. And I couldn't name them all because there's just so many which are keeping the community going. And the economy now at the moment in our district and New Zealand is reasonably stressed. And we, as council, need to help and keep the economy going, as all people do. And we'll need to get through it because we have to. And we need to do it because we need to survive. So it's all about survivability. So if any other councillors like to make a comment on how they're seeing the state of things at the moment? Lynette.
Just had a question about how, overseas people trying to get out of the country. Like, we have a student here from Switzerland, and he's actually been conscripted back to the army back there. And is there any plans being made for these people to be able to return to their countries? Because he's in a real dilemma trying to get information how to get out, get back home.
His embassy must have an embassy he can contact on how to get out. I'm not sure, but there's someone probably in government who could help, an MP perhaps, one of our local MPs. Stuart?
Yes, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Locally, we're doing very well, but nationally, it astounds me that thousands and thousands of people are coming back into New Zealand. They don't have a temperature, so off they go all around the country. To me, I just can't believe we're doing it. If we're going to have a lockdown, we have a lockdown, full stop. Nobody comes in.
Or what they do in Australia is where they bring them in and go straight into quarantine for 2 weeks. It seems to be a wee lapse in the system, in my view, and probably yours, Stuart, too, that we're still letting them in, and they're probably the highest risk. And so they should be able to come in too. They are New Zealanders, but we need to quarantine them before they're out there. But that's someone a bit higher up in the chain might get the message. We've got Liz.
Thank you. And I thought the people arriving in were being quarantined for 14 days, but I may have that wrong. But just a comment, I think a lot of people are taking my deputy title as literally. I'm getting a lot of messages with photos of people playing at the playground and bits and pieces. So I'm pleased that the playground has have some notices up. The domains are probably another place we should consider having some notices up at the tennis courts or the netball courts. Just some people just they just think that that it's okay to go out there and use those facilities. Another thing I thought was quite a good idea, and I listened to some of the Selwyn District Council's meeting yesterday, and their library staff are ringing all the over 70s who are members of the library just to check in, give them a friendly chat. I mean, the other people that are probably used to go into the library quite often. So I thought that was a really nice idea. So I don't know how we're placed to do something similar to that. But no, lots of people out walking, sunny days help, and everyone seems to be smiling as they're in lockdown.
Good. We may have to get you a deputy badge.
I think I might need one.
Hamish, your response to that, then we go to John.
Oh, yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to advise that we're doing the same thing through the library. We saw this idea that Selwyn had a few days ago and thought that was a really good idea. And so we're putting in place through our welfare response, civil defence response team, encouraging and setting up a process whereby our library staff will ring all the over 70 subscribers that they have a number for and just check in that they're okay. So yeah, a good idea, and we are proposing and shortly commence the same thing.
Yeah, there's lots of good ideas that happen all over the country, and there's that much social media and so much media stuff we can access. If we see a good idea and you think it would work well in our district, bring it to Hamish and he can see if it can work here and help everyone out that way. John?
Yeah, just speaking from a national level, I know that MFAT are spending a lot of time on helping overseas people get back home, the same as they're also working on trying to bring New Zealanders back home. Speaking from a local level, I've never seen so many people out walking. It's great to see families out walking and people are on bikes. And I know some of these people who are out walking haven't done a lot of walking in the past before.
Diane?
Yes, I'm pleased to hear about the library. I've had a few people say they're starting to miss their books already. But just talking about the people coming into the country, I've got a friend who flew in on Sunday night off a cruise ship, which was clean, from Perth, and they were bussed straight to the Novotel at the airport in Auckland, and they have to stay there 14 days. They've got no choice. So I think that part of it is working. But I was out shopping yesterday for some 80-year-olds, and I thought the supermarket was very orderly and very well managed.
Oh, that's good. Thanks for that. It's good to hear that about that story with the cruise ship people going into quarantine. That's good to hear. Stuart?
Yes, I've got a comment. I don't know who's organised it, but I've had two elderly people in the district say they've been rung from district council ladies, and they're astounded that such a great thing of goodwill to see how they were. They said they don't know how they got my name or anything. I don't know how they coordinate the list, but it is publicly, I just want to say that people are really, really appreciative of those sort of calls.
That's good. It's good to hear, Stuart. It's when the hard times come along that the good comes out in people, and obviously it's showing up, and it's good to get those comments back in too to see that those things are working and appreciated. So that's great. Lane?
Thank you, Neil. Yes, it's working. Same here. No,
It's 10
Lane, you've
o'clock.
just gone off again. If you could just push your button and
keep the finger going all the time, but it's going.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's pretty quiet in the hotel as well. It's quite interesting talking to people who are walking and biking past. Like everyone said, everyone seems to be quite relaxed on the moment. But if you start talking 2-3 weeks from now, I can get the feeling that people really want to get back to work due to no income for some. So I think as a council, we're doing the best we can, and we should be. And we really have to make sure that we keep this district going as soon as we can to make sure that all people make a living. But no, the feeling outside is good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's important that we keep the district going. And Hamish and I mentioned yesterday, and also Hamish, that the government's looking for projects that are what they call shovel ready to go, which they'd like to fund and keep the economy boosting along. So we're putting applications into that, which should be good. Lynette.
I was just going to say there's a lot of good stuff going on with Darwin with the volunteering. She's a coordinator on Facebook, putting up kids' ideas and lots of moral support going on there. So it's good to see all this coming through. If people, want ideas what to do with kids, just go to her page there, and a lot of good stuff's popping up.
Lynette, could you just tell us what that page is?
I think it's Darwin Moylan on her volunteering Mid Canterbury. It's probably part of Safer Ashburton, where it's all this stuff's popping up. So yeah, there's some great stuff going on there. Liz might know more.
I think Liz might know who it is. She's got a hand up.
I think it's just Volunteer Mid Canterbury. Excuse me, Facebook page. Darwin's not part of Safer Mid Canterbury. But she does have quite an active Facebook page, and she's been emailing us as well.
Yeah, and initiatives are good, and I know the children's library had a good initiative of reading a story online, but we actually had to stop it because of copyright problems. Sounds a little bit stupid, but it's obviously the law. So looking at a way of getting around that so we can liven that up again. Great initiative by someone to do it, but just didn't really work at the end of the day because of some other stupid law that's out there. I'm sure the law's there for a good reason, but in this case, it just seems a little bit stupid. But anyway, any further comments? Or we might go to staff, to the leadership team, to tell us how they've been going in their departments.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'll pass over to the member of the exec very, very shortly. But can I just say a huge thank you to all council staff. Publicly acknowledge that the effort to adjust to working to home at a very short notice, the effort to keep essential services ticking over, the effort to run the civil defence welfare response, and the capacity to have great ideas and keep the community ticking over has been astounding, and we have been really, really well served by every single person employed by the Ashburton District Council. So a great big thank you and acknowledgement from me in this forum. And perhaps through you, Mr. Mayor, we could just invite the exec team members to give a brief update of things that are happening in their part of the council business.
Thanks for that, Hamish. And we echo those thoughts that you've got about your staff too. They're doing an excellent job, and when the going gets tough, the tough get going, and they're really getting into it, as are most other people, not most, all other people in our district are as well. So they're part of that community, and we all appreciate the work that everyone's doing, and them as well. So we might go to Neil McCann first. Welcome, Neil.
Morning, everyone. Can you see me all right?
Yep, great.
Yeah, just an update from our service delivery side of things. The stock water ranges are out and about, working pretty hard on ensuring that the stock water is flowing. We did have problems with 2 intakes over the weekend, which have now settled and all flowing okay at the moment. Feedback from the rubbish collection is that glass is a problem, and we've experienced people placing glass around litter bins and leaving a lot of glass out on the footpath. So we've responded to that, spoken to EnviroWaste, and from next week we'll now accept glass in the yellow and the red bins, just acknowledging that it will go to the landfill. We just can't have the sorting of that done by hand. So just for the 4-week period or the lockdown period, that the glass will go in with the rubbish as well as the rest of the recycling. I think that'll go down well. There seems to be a lot of comments about the glass building up and the problem it's causing. The library are looking at bringing in a new online sort of login experience where people can get access to videos, to books online. Authors of books read their books for the kids. It's an initiative from Australia, and there's hundreds of books available for that sort of video reading and other entertainment alongside that. It's called the Library Story Box, and we'll no doubt put that out in the media once it's up and running. The other thing about the library is that we've been told by National Library to stop the APNK public Wi-Fi. That's to prevent people from gathering around libraries to access the free Wi-Fi. So that may affect some people, particularly those on the farms or people who don't have access to Wi-Fi. So that's the only negative, but it is the right initiative to prevent people gathering around the library. Other than that, we did, you would have noticed yesterday, we have decided to open the Mayfield toilet as well to give access to truckies driving up the scenic route. They can at least use that toilet. And that's to go alongside with the other 3 toilets that we got open in Ashburton, Domain, Hines and Methven. That's all I have to report.
Yeah, thanks for that, Neil. And I think if people don't want to put the glass into their red or yellow bins, and if they can store it and they do want it to go to recycling, if they can hold it at home until we start the recycling service up again, if they really think that recycling is important to them and they can store it at home, do that until till we get the service back up and running again. But if they can't and they got to get rid of the glass, we'll put it in those bins and that'll sort it out.
Exactly.
Any questions for Neil? No,
I just wonder.
Yeah, I have.
Oh,
John, we'll take John first.
I just wonder, with the amount of downtime, I know there's a lot of spring cleaning being done out of houses and garages at the moment. I just wonder if there's been any noticeable increase in the amount of rubbish collected.
I haven't got the figures on the tonnages coming in, but that would only have to be through our red bin and yellow bin service. People can't take it down to the resource recovery park because that's only available to the people who aren't in our collection area. But I am aware that quite a few people are doing a lot of renovation and they're having to just stockpile until the resource recovery park is open again to trailers and the like.
And the reason you can't take your rubbish to the recycling park is from your renovations is because you're in lockdown. You're supposed to be staying at home. You're not supposed to be heading off to the recycling park and dumping your rubbish. So that's the reason you're in lockdown. Diane? Just
Neil, regarding the toilets in town on East Street, is there a sign on those to say that people have to go up to the ones on West Street? It's just, as I drove through town yesterday, I saw a lady rush up there, hop out of a car and go and stand looking at the doors, looking very frustrated, and just made me think, is there a sign to redirecting them?
I know there was a sign up there last week. I'll just get it checked to see if it's been removed, and if it has, we'll put another one up.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Neil? If not, thanks very much, Neil, and give your thanks to your team for keeping all those essential services going for us. They're really important and they're doing a great job. So if you could pass that on, that would be good. Shall we head now to Jane? Welcome, Jane.
Morning, everybody. We're still processing building consents and resource consents from home, and we can't do site visits, obviously, or building inspections. But the other big bit of staff resources going into the EOC. We've got 3 teams of people, incident management teams that are manning the EOC. They're dealing with inquiries. They have a daily meeting with Civil Defence Group, and every second day they have welfare meetings with various agencies, including Canterbury District Health. There's also that 0800 number operating now, but I think Paul Brake will have more information about that.
What is that 0800 number, Jane? I know Hamish knows it.
I don't know what it is off the top of my head, sorry.
I can help you with that, Mr. Mayor. So it's 0800 24 24 11 242411.
Thank you. And we'll go to councillors for questions, but Jane, I have one. If you're looking at doing a building and you've got your plans all ready to go, now would probably be a very good time to put that building consent in, because the staff are there ready to process it, and it'll be ready to go as soon as the lockdown comes off. Is that a fair comment?
Yes, certainly we can do that. They just have to be lodged electronically, but these days nearly all of them are in any case. But if some come in hard copy, we can't do it, but that's very rare. So yes, now is a good time.
Councillors, any questions of Jane? Thanks, Jane, and also thanks to your staff, and especially your EOC staff who are manning the EOC centre, ready for if we need anything. They're keeping a watchful brief on what's going on and keeping me informed of what's happening out there, which is good. And I know they're ready if anything steps up a level or two. But their main use at the moment is welfare issues. So any welfare issues, use that number, or 0800 24 24 11. So that's good. Thanks very much, Jane. Should we go now to Sarah? Welcome, Sarah.
Hello. Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to give you an update on, I guess, our staffing activities and what the wider workforce has been up to of late. It definitely isn't business as usual, but we're trying our absolute best to provide as many services as we possibly can, and continue servicing our community the best we can also. So I guess our two focuses are continuing business. That has included having a large number of staff working from home. We've had over 130 staff logging into our computer system remotely. Never before have we ever reached those levels before. So that's been amazing and a good test for our system. We've got essential workers, as Neil and Jane have already been talking about, have been out in the field. And also we've got our redeployment staff. Clearly we have some positions within council who, due to closed facilities, can't perform their jobs that they would normally do. So our mission is to try and redeployment in meaningful ways that helps the community. Obviously it has to be essential duties that they perform, and also we are trying to sort of maximise the duties while minimising the numbers. We're not trying to get everyone out for an hour's activity to do one job, but sort of group together everyone and make it a meaningful task. So there are rosters going on in the IMT, as Jane said, but also rostering staff in other places. At the moment, we've got about 24 staff working on shifts in the IMT. We've got 4 staff already on rosters at the Community-Based Assessment Centre, the CBAC, and they have been, one is an EA member of staff, Tori, and also 3 members of the Open Spaces team. So Tori's been helping out on administration duties, and our Open Spaces team members have been donning on the full kit and being part of the cleaning team who go in after every person and follow really strict procedures. It's physical, heavy, and intense work. We've had fantastic praise from Sarah Clark, who's Ashburton's medical officer of health, to say, wow, thanks, these guys are awesome. So that's been really lovely to hear. And they're wanting more staff of ADCs as the testing ramps up in our district to be part of that process. So, these are the sort of things that we're doing. We've also got a number of staff, and at the moment they're predominantly our lifeguards, our full-time lifeguards, and they're working on delivering essential items and prescriptions to the vulnerable members within our community. So there's a team of 6 at the moment, and like I said, we're trying to minimise the numbers but do as much as we possibly can as well based on the need. We've got some shifts coming up from Meals on Wheels because some of their previous drivers are no longer able to help. So we're doing that, which is fantastic. And we've also, as Neil said, keeping our public toilets open. That's received some national and local media praise on Facebook and on stuff, with one truck driver saying, big ups to the Ashburton district. The Heinz public conveniences were opened and maintained to their usual standards. So, you know, the staff who are working are doing their damnedest to make it as good as possible. So that's really great. Other things around in terms of our business as usual, well, business as not usual. Our economic development team, they've contacted over 114 businesses within the district by email or phone, just to check in with them. We've already talked about the library team doing the same thing, about to do the same thing in terms of calling members of their group and database who fit the criteria, and they may need assistance in terms of logging on to the systems electronically, or just a general welfare check-in and see if there's anything that we can do. Our call centre, through the request of Civil Defence Group, in terms of councils, it has been open for extended hours. And that's so that the 0800 welfare number, as Hamish gave previously, calls can be answered from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday to Friday. So that's what we're doing there. So that extends that team's working hours. And we've also contacted over 100 tenants within our elderly pensioner housing units, checked in with them, and our property team will continue to have that ongoing relationship with them, so that we can address things as and when needed. So we expect our redeployment levels to increase as time goes on, as welfare requests generally increase in terms of the incidents and the help that people need. So yeah, it's a watching brief, it's a moving target, but look, we have staff, they're willing, they're able, and they are helping the community, and we will continue to do so. So yeah, that's kind of my summary.
Thanks very much, Sarah, for that update. You've got all those staff out there which are doing a fabulous job, and the community appreciates it. And I think the toilets at Heinz, they certainly did get a plug on national radio. I heard it from the truck driver. Stuart fought long and hard to get those toilets. They cost a bit of money, but they took a bit of time, but he got them there, and all of a sudden Heinz pops up #1 in the country for toilets. Well done, Stuart. Sarah, just a question. The 0800 number operates from 7 till 7, I think you said. If someone rings outside those hours, will it go to an answer machine direct them somewhere else, or take a message? Do you know?
It actually goes up to Christchurch. So the Christchurch City Council are doing the after hours welfare calls. So if they ring that number, it goes to Christchurch. If it's a general council matter like a noise complaint, that will continue to go to TAS service.
So it is a 24-hour service, but it'll just be in Ashburton from 7 till 7, or what those things as you said. Yeah, great. Any questions of Sarah? No, well done, Sarah. Keep up the good work, and thanks very much. And last but certainly not least, we'll go to Paul. We can hear but can't see you, Paul. If you push your wee camera button, you'll come in.
Actually, yeah, good morning. I've got actually nothing to add, except to say that the numbers coming through that call centre for welfare are very, very limited at the moment. There's been very few calls. That might pick up over the next few weeks.
Good. And Paul, you're working hard on a report coming to council next Thursday on the rates and what we can do around them. So we're looking forward to that report, and we've given you a wee bit of feedback to help prepare that report. So yeah, we'll look forward to that one.
Yeah, no, they're well on their way, those reports.
Let's hope there's something in there which will please the people out there, certainly in the short term, to ease the pain that they could be going through shortly. Councillors, any questions of Paul? Lynette? Yeah, no?
No, I've got no question, but I just actually, overall, I think we've got some fantastic staff working out here.
Yeah, so there being no questions of Paul, we're just at the end of our agenda now, so in public, an open meeting. So, but just in closing off, I'd just like to say well done to everyone out there for obeying all the restrictions. Keep doing it. What was this, day 7, day 8, is it? And I know some people were getting a bit scratchy, some getting used to it, and some working with the new norm. But yeah, I'm certainly can't wait to get out myself and head back into town, do some socialising like I used to do, especially in the small towns, and see people I haven't seen. But we do have the social media, so we can talk to them that way, but it's still not just the same. But so yeah, thanks everyone, and thank Hamish for all the work your staff is doing. It's they're doing heaps. We've heard just now what they have been doing, which is really good. And in the next wee while, they'll keep doing what they're doing and keeping us all as we should do in lockdown at the moment, and keeping the services available for us. So that's really good. So if there's nothing else, I'll look for someone to move us into public excluded. Lane and John. Moved. All in favour, please say aye.
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 Yeah.